Is email marketing dead in 2025 and heading into 2026? Or is it actually more profitable than ever? It's not email marketing that's dead. It's how people measure its effectiveness and how people structure the actions that can drive results when it comes to the retention and lifecycle engine as a whole, not just email. So I've created a little framework which I call the LTV Parthenon. And why do I call it the LTV Parthenon? Because the Parthenon, first of all, I'm Greek, right? So there's that. But on top of this, the Parthenon is a structure that has endured for thousands of years. And I truly think that it's because of the pillars that it has. The engineering behind it has been so strong, so robust, that the structure has survived time, war, everything. And I think the exact same concept applies to e-commerce. There are some foundational pillars that create LTV that if you really strengthen and build correctly for your business, you can build a company that lasts decades, centuries even, and does so predictably and comfortably over time. So in this video, I'm gonna show you the LTV Parthenon framework, and I'm very confident there's gonna be like a bunch of people that are copying it and maybe like renaming it. I have been copied multiple times in the ecosystem. There's a lot of people that admire me, other agency owners that might be watching this and that are taking liberty with the concepts that I'm sharing, and then they massage them into something they call their own after. But that's fine, because the reality of things is the LTV Parthenon is a framework that's based on mathematics. It's like physics, it's gravity, it's how things work. It's what makes a company be invincible in the grand scheme of things. And once you learn it, you can't unlearn it, because that's just how things work. So if that excites you, then keep watching this video and make sure you subscribe, because this is one of many videos that I'm going to share with you in the next few months that will make you a better lifecycle marketer and will hopefully make your brand a lot of money too. Now, before I show you the framework, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge how lifecycle and retention marketing comes across to founders and retention leads in 2025 and especially 2026. You basically have 1,000 different opinions coming at you from all angles. You have people telling you, you need to send more, no, you need to send less, do more discounts, no, discounts are bad, your discounts are boring actually, you need to do this other type of discount, and then why are you not doing enough SMS, why are you not trying WhatsApp? What? Are you not doing direct mail? Maybe you should do more AI. Like, there's just too many things. UGC, loyalty, referral. What can you do first? And like, as you go through this, you have to keep your calendar going. You need to keep optimizing your flows and all of your purpose. And it's a mess, frankly, right? Like, in many ways, I think it's the hardest job there is when it comes to e-commerce. It's for sure way harder than buying media. It's for sure way harder than doing performance-related creative. It's just tough. You need to know a lot about a lot, and you have too many people telling you what you have to do. So the purpose of the LTV Parthenon is to just like remove all of this noise, just like totally delete, and just make you focus on what matters, but from a first principle standpoint. What are the building blocks that create a business that's invincible over the long term? What creates a business that can thrive even if the cost to acquire a customer goes a little bit up, or even if you are having a bad month? This is what this is all about. It's about the reduction of choice and, frankly, ignoring stupid things that don't matter and focusing relentlessly on what does matter. And here it is. This is the framework. This is the LTV Parthenon. This is the framework that shows you how to create a super-powered e-commerce direct-to-consumer business. It's how you can create a company that is enduring over time, that is highly profitable and successful by focusing on what ultimately matters, and ignoring everything else, frankly. So everything that focuses on those three pillars, you should do more of, and everything that doesn't, you should do less of. It's truly as simple as that. Now, I'm going to walk you through all three of them one by one so that you can make them yours and truly understand how they work. Pillar number one is acquiring more subscription customers. Why subscription customers? Because a subscription customer is just infinitely better, economically speaking, than a one-time purchaser. You don't need to basically keep paying the cost to acquire a customer that you would typically spend on your Meta or your Google or whichever other ad platform you use to acquire customers. You would only be paying it once. Of course, you will still have some associated costs with delivering the recurring orders. Product itself will cost a certain amount of money, but just like objectively speaking, a subscription customer and the one-time purchaser are totally different economically. The subscription customer is just strictly better, economically speaking, in almost every case. So you should acquire more subscription customers, and you should do so even if the cost to acquire them is a little bit higher, which it will be a little bit higher than the cost to acquire one-time purchasers, even if the conversion rate to acquire them is a little bit lower than the one-time purchasers, which it also will be. It's just going to be better over the long term. Number one. So how do you do this? Again, first principles. We have our goal of we need to acquire more subscription customers. How do we do this? We do this by increasing the number of orders that start as a subscription. And we do this starting on our website. We need to make sure that the subscription comes across as a much better deal than a one-time purchase. It's as simple as that. And how you do this has nuance, because it's not just about the discounts. You can have freebies that people will get over time. You can give them exclusive access to things that the one-time purchasers would not typically get access to. It really has a lot to do with how you frame the subscription purchase in the first place, however. It doesn't have to do at all with your emails or your SMS or anything else that you might think of when you are thinking about lifecycle marketing. It's really the offer that matters. And of course, once you start focusing on increasing the percentage of subscription orders relative to one-time purchasers, the economics of the business will massively improve as a consequence. Number two, you need to convert more of your one-time purchasers into subscription customers. Okay, some will right away buy subscriptions, some won't. What do? Only objective that you should have as a company that aims to maximize lifetime value is to get those one-time purchasers to subscribe, which goes into having strong upsell and cross-sell mechanisms within the lifecycle channels that you have. It also goes into having cart and checkout and post-purchase upsells on the website. So you see, it's not just email. Again, there's more to it. And the sad reality of our ecosystem is that the roles are too fragmented for people to realize this so often. So you have your email marketing specialists and agencies and consultants focusing on, I'm going to create this magic flow or that magic flow, but then they don't know that like 60% of it is not even within the flows. It's like somewhere else. Email is basically just a little tool, not a little, a big tool, but a tool nonetheless in the toolkit that you have to optimize a business. Number three, how many churned subscribers do you reactivate? That's another lever. And again, this is a big one and people ignore it. It's driving me crazy. Why do they ignore it? Because they think that the way to treat canceled subscribers, again, is through a flow that basically tells them, we acknowledge your cancellation. Here's a coupon probably that you can use to purchase again, right? That's basically the extent of it. So they will send 1-2 touch points. The best of you will also try to customize the messaging a little bit through the cancellation reason that you collected as the users were canceling. But that's basically it. And then again, if you think about it from a first principle standpoint, it doesn't make any sense. Why does it not make sense? Because in a best case scenario, half the people will open your emails and maybe like 5% of them are going to click, right? What do you do with everybody else? This pile of canceled subscribers keeps growing over time. So you end up having this massive database of people that were interested enough to subscribe in the past, which means they are highly qualified profiles if you think about it. And then you just message them once or twice through that flow and then never again. Obviously, this is a massive mistake. Obviously, you should be having dedicated calendar activity every single month, trying to bring those people back. And you should be tracking your reactivation rate because it is a very big component of growing your subscriber base. And again, growing your subscriber base is pillar number one of the LTV Parthenon, which is all that matters into building a massively successful online business. The second pillar that truly matters is decreasing the number of subscribers that you lose, right? It makes sense. If you can lower the number of people that you lose every single month, you will ultimately increase the number of subscribers you have. The net gain will go up. And first principles, again, if you break down this goal of I want to lower the number of people that I'm having leave my program, you will come up with the following goals. You will have your active churn to lower. And active churn is when people willingly want to cancel their subscription with you. You will have your passive churn or involuntary churn, which is when people just like get cancelled because the credit card fails, right? Like there's just like some factor that is outside their control that gets them to stop being subscribed. You will have your month zero churn. Month zero churn is very interesting. We're going to talk about it separately. And ultimately the order to retention rate. So all of those things you should look at through a different lens and try to optimize separately because they are actually different things. Let's start with the first one. Active churn. How can I lower the number of people that cancel? There's this idea in lifecycle marketing circles that like, the best way to reduce churn is to have strong product education. And there's some truth to this. It is ultimately important that you do onboard people well, starting with your transactionals, going into your pre-delivery marketing emails, and then the marketing emails that they receive after the product ultimately are. This is all important, don't get me wrong. But again, if you see it mathematically speaking, how many people will see those emails? Especially when within the emails that you use to teach and onboard people, you are driving people to your website or like to some sort of type form or whatever else you might be trying. Assuming half of the people open them, right? That's 50 out of 100. And then assuming 2% click, that's 2 out of 100. And then out of those that click, how many will ultimately consume the content? So if you start seeing it mathematically, are you really moving the needle with those emails? Of course you will, to an extent. You will get some people better educated with better expectations, and like they will ultimately be more likely to stick to the company. So I don't mean to devalue this great body of work that the industry has created around this topic. And I mean, we also delivered it as a service, so I'm not devaluing our work either. It's just that mathematically speaking, it's not the best way to lure churn. The best way to lure churn is to do something that affects every single person that is churning. And the way to do so is to optimize the cancellation flow within the customer portal itself. When people go to cancel, they will need to go through this flow. So if you optimize that flow, everybody will benefit from it. Everybody that would go to cancel will be impacted by it rather. So they will be more or less, depending on the treatment, likely to cancel, hopefully less. That's where you should focus. In terms of involuntary churn, all of the subscription platforms have some settings that you can use to optimize. And many of you haven't even looked at them, right? So you should be sending a lot of retries and a lot of billing attempts to get those lost payments back and like to recover all of the revenue that you might be losing. So just go through the subscription platform and optimize those settings, and you're gonna win a lot of extra MRR back every single month. Now, month zero churn, super interesting thing. It happens to brands that tend to have like a very big discount for the subscription, which just makes it better than the one-time purchase. What do those people do? They just say, well, I might as well get the discount and I'm gonna cancel. I got the discount, I'll try the product, and then who cares about the brand losing the margin for the subscription? So it happens, it's a real thing. In some way, it's part of doing business, but what you can't do, and this goes back into the offer, is creating value add within the subscription program that's not just discount focused. That's not just happening on order one, basically, right? Like there's some sort of benefit that they'll get by order two, so that they are more likely to stay by order two. What many of you should and could do, but don't, because you don't want to hurt the perception of the brand. But just again, like from a first principle standpoint, it would be strictly better for you, is to set a minimum order requirement for your subscriptions, that they need to sign up for at least 2 orders. If you do this, obviously conversion rates will go a little bit down, CAC will go a little bit up, but economics will go way better over time, because you will basically solve completely your month zero problem. Another thing you should do, which many of you don't realize, is that you should just sell more upfront. Don't sell monthly. Again, there's this idea in the ecosystem that you should sell monthly and then people are going to keep receiving their packages and are going to be excited. But that's just not how it works mathematically. Mathematically speaking, whenever you send a billing reminder, whenever basically somebody pays, they feel pain, right? Like they remind themselves that, I'm spending. Do I really need this? Which consequently means the less frequent it is, the less frequent the pain of renewal is, the more likely they are to stay with you. So if you were to sell a 6-month plan instead of a monthly plan, you would have way less churn over time. You would just get people to stay with you longer. Now, let's talk about order to retention rate. What's the difference between month zero churn and order to retention rate? The difference is very simple. Month zero happens immediately. That's what I mean when I say month zero. And order to retention might be happening month 3 if you're selling 3-month packages. That's the difference. Now, this has to do with how well you onboard and educate people. So unless they cancel immediately, which shows that they basically had grab and run behavior when it comes to the subscription discount, it's likely that they just didn't see success with the product. And the reason why people don't see success, basically almost every single case, is that they're not consistent. So what can you do to make them more consistent? You can try to get them to combine the habit of using the product with a pre-existing habit. And this is part of how you should be educating people through your email and lifecycle communication. This has nothing to do, frankly, with boring emails that tell people about, like supplement has vitamin C and a little bit of vitamin D and a little bit of whatever other ingredients you might be having. No, it's much more practical. By the way, talking about the ingredients, they've already purchased. So like they probably already believe in the ingredients that you have, right? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to be having this post-purchase. If anything, you should have this on the product page so that if they want to know more about the products and how they work, they can do so. But that's how you improve order to retention rate. It's about onboarding people, getting them to succeed, mostly through helping them be more consistent. And then if they succeed, they're more likely to keep going. Pillar 3, which has to do with increasing the value of each subscriber, has three different pillars. Number one is the subscription checkout order AOV. This is how much they spend when they start a subscription. And again, what you should be selling in big packages. Try to monetize as much as you can, because that will result in better economics over time. It will result in quicker payback. It's just better for the business. Ignore what people say. It's not based on math. And this is actually like a very math-driven business if you think about it. We all like to think that it's about creativity and ideas, but e-commerce is mostly math if you really think about it. The second is subscription recurring order AOV, which has to do with how much they spend on a recurring basis. And as much as possible, this number should go up. You can do so through expanding the subscriptions, basically getting people to add more to their subscription, and timing plays a big role at this. I've noticed that people basically do one of two things. They either have an arbitrary time. They will say, okay, day 15, we have our cross-sell, day 75, we have another cross-sell, which you can try to think about it logically. And if you have a small enough catalog, maybe the logical guess that you do is close enough to the reality, because there's just not that many variables. But it's not ideal, clearly, to just be guessing, right? And then the second thing people do is that they use like a machine learning platform that says, this is my subscription upsell algorithm, and then you use this magic button that I have, and then people will go to the website and add something to their subscription, one click, and just they set it up, and then they forget. We have our cross-sell, everything is done. I wish it were that simple, but it's not. What you have to do is actually understand how those algorithms work. And if you do, which I do because I've spent quite a bit of time seeing how they work in reality, 90% of them is just going by recency, and recency biases the cross-sells to happen early in the life cycle. So what you tend to see is that people will buy, and then 80% of the cross-sell optimized algorithmic emails will go out within the first 10 days. It doesn't make any sense, right? It will result in more email engagement, but it won't result in a good experience, and it won't result in greater LTV. It might drive some sales, because the more recent the message is sent to the first order, the more engaged, the more likely to be engaged the person is. But it's just not that great, honestly. And you can verify this very easily if you're using any machine learning platform. Just go see when does the email actually get sent. You'll see that I am correct. So what you should actually do is understand yourself by running an analysis what the right moment is and what the right product combination is. It's a lot of work, and of course it requires skill that many of you won't have. But if you want to truly optimize the business, you can't just rely on a black box and hope it works. The last thing, which is retention rate, and I'm using by orders, not by months, because months can be misleading, has a lot to do with two things that I haven't mentioned just yet. One of which is the product itself. Of course, you can try to onboard people, you can try to set the right expectations, but unless the product is great, they won't ultimately stick with you over time, right? And the difference a good product can make is absolutely massive. We recently onboarded a company that has 33% retention rate by month 33, and their AOV is over 100. So just imagine how much money they make from a single customer. Of course, their marketing is great, but it's also the product that has this effect. You could get the exact same team, exact same marketers, put them in a different product context, and they would not have the same results. So product really matters. Secondly, it's the branding, actually. We in performance marketing like to say that, oh, well, what's branding? It's this like vague, fuzzy thing. What does it really mean? But what it means is that people remember and like you as a company. And that goes a long way in getting them to keep spending with you. If there's like no emotional connection whatsoever, if there's no regular awareness, frankly, not even affinity, just awareness that, okay, this company exists and is like standing for this goal and it's trying to do like exciting and cool things, and I'm actually like philosophically aligned with that company, then they get your billing reminder and they're like, what is even this? Why am I even paying for it, right? So it's a totally different reaction, and this has everything to do with branding. It has to do with the messaging, the distribution, the collaborations that you might be having with other parties. It's a long-term game, but it really does affect retention rates over time. I have one more thing to show you before I let you go. There is actually one more thing that matters when it comes to building a super-powered e-commerce business. The three pillars are incredibly important. They are the key to increasing the lifetime value of your customers, but the lifetime value of your customers only matters when seen in relation to CAC. CAC is the cost to acquire a customer. And the problem about CAC is that sadly, it's not fully within your control. You can optimize your creatives. You can create better hooks and better videos and landing pages and offers and all of those things. But sadly, you are not operating in an ecosystem that's empty. There's other companies that are spending money. And the way all of big tech works is that the algorithms that determine who sees the ads that you're putting out there, they all work with an auction system, which means what? When others spend more, you will be forced to spend more. And this is precisely why during Q4, during Black Friday, when everybody spends a lot of money, the cost to acquire a customer goes up. And If your business relies on optimizing CAC, which every commerce business does, right? Like you all are trying to do this. You're launching more creatives, running tests, new influencers, new channels. We're all trying to optimize CAC. What you should know is that you won't succeed. I'm sorry to say this, but if you look historically, it always goes up. It will always go up. Look through how much it costs to acquire a customer this year versus 3 years ago, versus 5 years ago, versus 10 years ago. It's just going up. So it's not fully within your control. You should fight the upward trajectory of CAC as much as you can. It should be a top priority for you, equally important to the 3 pillars, but you won't succeed. Over the long term, it will keep going up, which is precisely why the 3 pillars are so important. Because if those 2 metrics, LTV to CAC, is what determines the health of your business, you might as well focus on the one that you can fully control. CAC you can't fully control. LTV you can, through the actions and through the metrics that we went through today. And this is precisely why I'm so saddened with the state of our ecosystem, because it feels to me like what I just showed you today should be the number one thing that everybody focuses on. It should be like incredibly important, just as important as optimizing CAC. Yet if you look through the reality of most companies, it's just not happening. People think about all of this in terms of we are sending emails, we are having our promos, we have our revenue share, we are doing our part, we are doing well. And the lifecycle marketers they just do this and that's it. So it really feels like there's this division between those who run our ads, those who send our emails, but this division is an illusion. It doesn't really exist because it's less about sending emails and less about running ads. It's more about understanding what are the pillars that make a business successful and what are the levers, the KPIs that I should focus on to strengthen those pillars and build an enduring business. And the beauty of working with YOCTO is that we do know how to maximize, not just optimize, but maximize all of those KPIs and pillars. And in so doing, significantly increase the value of your business. The revenue, of course, but more importantly, the profit that you are able to keep every single month. So at this point, you have 2 main options. Option number 1 is that you take this video, talk with your internal team about how you can potentially change the priorities, shift the focus a little bit, and ultimately, hopefully try to focus on the 3 pillars, which is what ultimately matters in building an enduring business. If that's you, then I wish you luck. It's often difficult to drive meaningful change within a company. So my recommendation, try to implement things slow and steady rather than just like completely rehauling everything, because this can lead to resistance from the rest of the people within the company. Now, option number 2, and this is for those of you that want a shortcut, is to book a call with YOCTO. There is a link in the description of this video. You can head over there and you're going to book a call directly with me, and then I'm going to show you how we can help implement all of this within your business. This will basically eliminate the timeline that it takes to figure things out, know how things really work, to do a lot of tests, because we've basically done it already for you. And it's not appropriate for every business. There are some companies that I would say won't really benefit by working with us, and those are the companies that don't have patience, don't look at math as the foundation of e-commerce. They're more like emotion driven, and those are the companies that just don't trust something new. They don't want to give it a chance. They feel like the world is against them and that we will be trying to rip them off instead of helping them create an enduring business. So if that's you, please don't book a call with me, because it's going to be a waste of your time and mine. But if you're the type of person that is serious about your business and your vision of your business is that you build something enduring, powerful, compounding over time, that doesn't just look good on paper, but also looks good in the reality of things and leaves you with a lot of profit, then I promise you, booking a call with me down below is one of the better things you can do for your business. And I'm going to help you personally make sure that everything I showed you in this video is dialed in perfectly for your brand and your business as quickly as possible, with as little guessing, with as little as testing and figuring things out as possible, because there really is a pattern to what works and what doesn't. E-commerce is more about math than it is about anything else.